Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. This is Robert from Islam for Europeans. Please like and subscribe to the channel. So, I thought I would respond to probably the anti-Dawa tweet of the year. And I know that many brothers have been responding to my tweets regarding why it's not really good for Dawa and also the image of Muslims in the West. And it's just, I don't see any positives from this kind of tweet. And, all the more reason because it's coming from someone who I seriously admired, and also defended, tooth and nail, all the way through his, conversion period. Now, I don't know, maybe he has this tongue-in-cheek style. This is the way that he talks about everybody on an individual level or on a group level. But nonetheless, I'm going to go through my take on what exactly he tweeted and the responses there. So I'm talking about Brother Andrew Tate, and I'm just going to read off verbatim this tweet that he made, I think yesterday. Quote, "Dear white men, you're effed. You're being replaced because none of you have children. Even those of you bitching about the replacement online like little girls don't find the gumption to F. I see white men bragging about having 5 kids as if it's an achievement, LOL. 5, LOLOL. Per year, right? Question mark. Oh, all you white boys lost control of your women, and now they won't accept multiple wives anymore. Now they tell you they don't want any more kids. One's enough. They don't want to do their God-given job anymore. No, they want Instagram likes instead. So your genetic potential is stumped by the whims of some singular female, a female who takes 9 whole months to grow a single baby. Other races have multiple ovens for bread. We're not cucked. Some bitch is screaming at you about loyalty, and you're sitting there saying, yes, baby. Jerking off to porn, sorry about the language here, when she's asleep or maybe cheating with a side bitch, condom on, in all caps. Oh no, I couldn't get another woman pregnant. My wife would kill me. Total effing losers. Soon your race will be nothing more than a few pages in a history book. The lesson on what happens when you F the female psyche so hard, they're obsessed with money and social media, as opposed to being one of many baby factories for a king. 30 children minimum for the Dons. White people, question mark. Go talk to your best friend, wife, about what to do this weekend. Maybe you can take a nice walk around IKEA. Enjoy extinction." Yeah. And, I haven't heard any, Muslim influencers or scholars or leaders even talk about, this tweet and, what are the consequences of tweeting something like this. And, even, I see very intelligent Muslims saying, what's wrong with this? He's just showing tough love. This means that he wants white people to have more kids. So, a couple of points. One is that, people are saying that I'm getting triggered over this post. I am not getting triggered over this post. I think that it's extremely dangerous for the Muslim community as a whole in the West, both converts and visible Muslims. There's nothing about Islam in this tweet, right? But everybody knows that Andrew Tate has converted to Islam, right? So this is not any type of, call or even mention the fact about Islam. I mean, multiple wives were mentioned, but, at the very least, say, Islam is an alternative. But the fact that you're just saying you should have more babies, I'm not getting triggered about that. I mean, just having babies, white people in the Anglosphere, without Islam is basically fruitless. Or just the fact, Islam is an accepted religion that white people can convert to, where Islam becomes a fabric of the Anglosphere. There's absolutely no mention of that. And that is the main goal. We want our families to either convert to Islam or just be okay with the fact that we've converted to Islam, right? And that's going to benefit everybody. That's going to benefit converts. That's going to benefit the Anglosphere in general. That's going to benefit Muslims from all walks of life. But that becomes almost impossible to do when you have this mutual animosity between our co-ethnics, our fellow white people, and our co-religionists. I thought that in 2024 that the relationship between white people and Muslims was actually getting far better, because you saw thousands of white people at the protests recently. You see white people commending Muslims for taking a stand against certain school agendas that are affecting all of our kids. So the image of Islam in the West has never been higher. Of course, there's always going to be haters, but even if you watch my previous video on that survey done by the Common Good, or More in Common, only 21% of the Anglosphere in Britain has a negative, somewhat negative or very negative opinion of Islam. 40% don't care, and 35% have either a positive or very positive image of Islam. But a tweet like this, only just galvanizes and angers the Anglosphere. I mean, it's basically saying you're basically not. It's not. It just goes beyond being racist. I mean, you're gloating over the fact that this entire race of people is going to be extinct. And I know Andrew can be very tongue-in-cheek, and maybe that's what he meant. Maybe he meant to be tongue-in-cheek, but obviously there's a lot of Muslims that certainly feel that this is a good thing. That they win. Like this is like a game of risk, and it doesn't matter how many Muslims, white or non-white, are praying 5 times a day, or fasting during Ramadan, or not becoming non-binary or whatever. That doesn't matter. All that matters is the numbers game. So is it really about having more Muslims in Europe, whether they're white or non-white, or is it just more about depopulating the white population? And that's what people on the right see when they see a tweet like this. As you can see at this point, what this tweet was tweeted, I think, yesterday, and it has 44,000 likes already. And even people on the right who had a positive image of Islam and Muslims generally, or at least tolerated Islam, this has only enraged them. Like Nick Griffin posted, "Get out of bed the wrong side today, then the all-white Amish have more children than anyone else on earth. Your African cousins and your Guru Iggy Semmelweis, whoever that is, Orthodox Brethren included." Jefferson Lee said, what a crappy presentation of Islam. Max Populi. So these are guys who are not on the anti-Islam right, but because Andrew came across as so toxic and caustic, all this goodwill that we've built up is just gone. And forget about the dissident right for a minute. Forget about people on the right for a minute. Converting to Islam as a white person is challenging enough. When you have, with a single tweet, galvanizing our co-ethnics and co-religionists against one another, angering them so to the point where they're at each other's throats. It doesn't matter if you call them for white people to have more kids. You're calling for more white people to have more kids, and these kids are going to grow up to hate Muslims even more. And it's just ridiculous. And like I said, I could be, people are saying that I'm getting triggered about this. I think it's the opposite. I think you have a lot of white converts who are yes men, who try to act this way, talk this way, have a very generally anti-white attitude, gloating over the fact that their numbers are dwindling because they're trying to fit in. And this is just being more destructive to Muslims as a whole in the West. I mean, you look at a city like Toronto. Toronto is now less than 50% white people, and still, like, the Islamophobic attacks have only exponentially increased by Hindus, by ex-Muslims, by Chinese nationalists, because these people don't fear, the repercussions. They're not in a situation like white people are, where if they say something against Muslims or whatever, they're going to be called racist. So, and it's just really, and and it's even more disheartening because of the fact that it was, brother Andrew that tweeted this, because, brother Andrew, like, he used to be pro-white before he converted to Islam. Like, there's the one video about, how white men are sympathize with them, that they're in a very awful situation where they can't criticize anything anymore. That, it's okay to be racist towards white people. Maybe he still does feel that way, but, for him to convert to Islam and then tweet something like this, to the average white individual, they're going to say, converting to Islam, by default, you have to become anti-white now. So, again, I don't care. I can take care of myself. It's not about me being triggered, and, not just about making it more difficult for white people to convert to Islam in the Anglosphere. This is just headed in the wrong direction. I mean, any, person on the right who didn't hate Muslims before, this might actually galvanize them to, get really angry at Muslims, to, deface a mosque, God forbid, or, rip a sister's hijab off, shout obscenities at them, because, on the right, the only acceptable target now is Muslims, basically. I know, that white people are angry about something. They're angry about the fact that, you have uncontrolled mass immigration, especially in Europe proper. So they're going to take the path of least resistance. And, in the right-wing circles, that's Islam, as a religion in and of itself, right? So what you're doing basically is you're combining, the efforts of the dissident right, i.e. Nick Griffin, Jefferson Lee, Max Populi, and the anti-Islam right. So they're going to end up voting for the same parties, like we have here in Canada. Like, there's many people who don't have a problem with Islam in the Anglosphere, but because there's no option, for like, a populist party that doesn't hate Muslims, they're going to end up voting for, Polivier, who's a conservative, and that's going to be absolutely horrible for the Muslim community. So I really think we need to, play some 4D chess here. I think that, you can talk like Andrew Tate, and, you can say that it's tough love. You can just say, hey, let's just have more kids. But at the end of the day, without presenting Islam as an alternative, or at least making it acceptable for a white person to convert to Islam, where they don't get kicked out of their house, it's just, your efforts are going to be in vain, because you're just creating more enemies. Like, yeah, okay, so let's say millions of white people see Andrew's tweet and they take up his challenge, say, yeah, you know what, we're going to have more white kids, and we're going to grow up to teach them to hate Muslims. So, and I think that, it's because there's no white Muslim subcommunity, you can't have like a situation where, for example, African Americans who convert to Islam, you already have a pool of, Black American Muslims, men and women, that are your potential spouses, because there's so much anti-Islam sentiment in Europe proper and in the Anglosphere. White people, yeah, they're converting to Islam, but because there's so much anti-Islam sentiment, you make it impossible, near impossible, for two white converts to actually marry one another. Because look, they look at this tweet and they say, okay, that's great that you want us to have more kids, but at the same time, thank you for telling me that Muslims and Islam are the bare naked enemy, right? So yeah, nice try. I know that, it's an easy cop out to think that, I'm going to get triggered, that I'm triggered because of his tweet, but, no. I'm thinking about this holistically, not just the fact that I want my people to convert to Islam, which is a noble goal. I mean, you want your people to be saved. You want your people to follow the path of Allah. You want your people to, worship God without any partners. and then the kid, any children that come out of those marriages, that's a byproduct of that. But that's not a goal in and of itself. That goal has absolutely no substance. And on a final note, I mean, like, just this kind of tweet, the fact that, no one's commenting on the fact that, just having kids out of wedlock is a good strategy. I mean, that's a kaba'ir. That's a major sin. Like, I don't care if you call yourself Salafi, Maturidi, like Sufi or whatever, you're openly advocating for men having children out of wedlock. When in the world is this Islamically acceptable? As Muslims, we should be enjoining the good and forbidding evil. You don't enjoin good. You don't you don't recommend something that's evil, even to non-Muslims. It would be like saying, whites should eat more pork, to get in shape. Like this kind of sin is punishable by death in Islam. So the fact that you're having kids out of wedlock, that you're impregnating as many women as possible, that's not a man. A man is someone who takes care of his wife. A man is someone who takes care of his kids. You're basically advocating for white men to be a tomcat, a stray tomcat that just impregnates women left, right, and center. Islam has never advocated for that. And I agree with Jefferson Lee, what he said here. It's a crappy pitch for Islam. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this is tough love. And I know, people can call me a brokey and everything, but really like, people who convert to Islam who are like celebrities like this, I think that, we're giving them, they already have this enormous space and they should at the very least, try to learn Islam 101. And a perfect example of a success story in that case, even though I pray that, he doesn't fall into this trap, his brother Sneeko. Sneeko, he did it the right way. He learned Islam, he learned the religion, he asked, like questions, he's open, he's honest. He doesn't brag about the fact that, a certain race is going to go extinct. Yeah, I mean, like nobody's perfect, we're all going to have issues, but I think Sneeko has become far more well adjusted in this particular case. And you know what? I'm willing to speak with brother Sensei Abu American about this. I love the brother for the sake of Allah. Even my detractors, brother Alpha Legion, David Williamson, brother. I mean, like, I have no problem with these brothers. I think, I love them for the sake of Allah. Apparently we disagree on this, but I'm open to having a conversation about this because I think it's really important. If we allow tweets like this to happen, it's really dangerous. You're combining the anti-Islam and the dissident right. You're making Islam you're making Islam look like the enemy of white people. And just advocating for the fact just to have more kids left, right, and center. That's not a Dawa strategy. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take for this one. I think I've said my piece, but yeah, just let me know what you think in the chat. And yeah, take care. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.